This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show.
Hey everyone, welcome into the RebZone. I'm Paloma Villicana. We're an hour earlier tonight because of the Sunday night football game, so you're welcome for an extra hour of sleep tonight. Well, UNLV didn't have a football game this weekend. In fact, 18 total college football games across the country this week were canceled or postponed due to COVID-19. Now, there was a lot of back and forth this week with Colorado State and UNLV as the Rams head coach Steve Addazio told us earlier in the week he was told there were some issues from UNLV ahead of their Saturday matchup. Well, we got the news on Wednesday afternoon from UNLV that the football team would not be traveling to Colorado State this weekend due to 4 positive cases on the team, and along with their contact tracing and medical experts, they were advised to not take the trip to Fort Collins this Saturday. Now, this is UNLV's first game not played this season due to COVID-19. It's Colorado State's second game, and now the Rebels will get ready to host the 1-2 Wyoming Cowboys on Friday. Wyoming has had their last 2 games canceled due to COVID-19. Utah State this past Thursday and Air Force last week. Both of those games canceled due to COVID-19 issues with Utah State and Air Force. So Wyoming's last game was against Colorado State back on November 5th when they lost to the Rams 34-24. Well, now we welcome head coach of UNLV football, Marcus Arroyo. Coach, I'm interested to know, you guys got the news on Wednesday you wouldn't be traveling to Colorado State this weekend. What happened next? What was your speech? What did you tell your players? Did you guys just jump into practice? I'm interested to know what happened next.
Well, I mean, you know, the unfortunate part about kind of this year is the fact that these kind of things they've happened so much to these guys, you know, the rugs being pulled underneath you so often in 2020. I think you've almost built unfortunate resiliency to kind of good and bad or indifferent, I think, to be ready to pivot. And so no different. We went to practice as normal, waited for results, and then we controlled what we control. You know, I went in, had a quick team meeting once we got told that, we weren't going to move forward. Guys were disappointed. Obviously, we want, to have a chance to play, but we understand the circumstances and the health and safety of our players and our coaches and this whole building is probably the most important piece. So we move forward then. We spelled out the week for them. We've got a plan moving forward for what we could do with the guys we had. And it really played into a lot of things we talked about in our mindset in controlling what we can control. You know, we do a lot of stuff preseason and a lot of stuff in our mindset training stuff that I've mentioned before, of getting guys to understand, control what you can control. You can control your culture, you can control your attitude, your habits, your conditioning, your competitiveness, your behavior, your tactical approaches, your performance, even your own change. But you can't control people, you can't control Mother Nature, you can't control true time or change of other things, and you can't change the past. So we just we grabbed from that little pamphlet we've gone through camp, and we pressed on, and guys did a very good job of pivoting and going back to work with what we could do the next 48 hours today.
Well, I was listening to Steve Addazio's media availability this week, and he was kind of chuckling, just like, gosh, this is crazy. Like, we put so much effort into these games, into this preparation. When you got the news on Wednesday that you guys weren't playing, as a coaching staff, were you just like, okay, now we got to make that switch to Wyoming, or was it kind of hard to digest? We put in all this work, now we just got to flip the switch. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, you put in a lot of work to get prepared for an opponent, and you're obviously disappointed to not have that opportunity. I know we were to have another opportunity with our guys after, again, these 50 days. Is any opportunity. There's just no substitute for experience and time and maturity of playing on the field. But there's nothing you can do about it. You can cry and cry over all you want, or we're just not into that. Our culture's not into that. The way we teach and think isn't into that. We've got to adjust. And I think, like a good family or like a good business, like anybody else, I think when you adapt quickly without flinch and without hesitation, with structure and empathy and a good attitude, then the rest of the group has an easier time adjusting as well.
Well, we were talking to Coach Otzelberger this week about his players living a bubble life and all the COVID-19 protocols that they have to follow as well. The players were telling me they literally just go to practice their apartment. They take all their classes online right now. You know, no social gatherings. Otzelberger's telling them, you know, don't go out to restaurants, don't go to social gatherings right now. Is that kind of a similar bubble lifestyle your players are living in right now?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we do a couple meetings every other week with a couple different groups. One being the leadership council, one being my true freshman group, which I think is an important group. And what we talked to them about those two groups is the fact that it's an opportunity for them to kind of tell me, get their temperature on where they're at outside of football, and that's really what I'm most interested in, and kind of how the culture of things is in the locker room, how it is off the field, what I can do to help, where I can listen more, and let them know that we're not, we're not to the point we don't think we're turning a blind eye to the fact that they're living through something as a college experience that none of us had to do. I mean, there's no one on campus. They go home to their apartments, like TJ said, and that's it. You can't go out in the public and live a social life right now, and that's really hard. Where we know about it at home most often. That's where things, I think, for all of us, it's easy for us. Sometimes we lose perspective. I think because we get in this sports room sometimes, and we lose sight of the fact that these guys have there's some morale issues there that you got to tend to, and I think that's a really important piece of it. So we don't skip over those at all, and that is an interesting piece of their life they're living right now. So we're very attentive to it and empathetic. So we're trying to do everything we can to make sure those guys know that we're there for them.
So now on to Wyoming, and speaking of canceled games, those guys have had their past 2 games canceled. You get a little bit of extra time this week to prepare for them. What have you seen on tape so far? They've only played 3 games this season.
Yeah, I mean, they get the same amount of time we get because they got canceled too, obviously. We had a mitigated practice with the numbers we had because of just the numbers. So you're not going to get too far ahead with missing a big piece of the group. But you get some time to digest some things and maybe get through some film a little bit more for sure. They're a good group now. There's everyone. I mean, I haven't been to this conference, but obviously I've coached up there before. I know what Coach Bull's about. I know what a couple of those guys on staff are about. I've worked with them. This is a team that's, again, one of the premier teams in our conference. They've won 8 games 3 of the last 4 years. They're well coached. They're disciplined. They're tough. You can see they've done a great job building their team and their resume. It's very evident how they play for each other. So we've got a tough task, and we've got to come out and do our job this week to make sure we improve. That's the biggest goal.
Well, I know they'll be hungry to play a game on Friday, and I know your guys will be, extra eager to play on Friday. Does Friday's game, does your players kind of feel like, we can't take this for granted? Like, we got to be safe, we got to be healthy, and each game that we get is an opportunity to go out there, especially for your seniors right now.
Yeah, we try to make that part of what we do every day and talk about every day. The opportunity that we have to be out there and play this game. And I think, again, what they've been through this year is a perfect example of how easy it is for something to slip through your fingers and go away, and having perspective and understanding how that can go. I think this Friday's game is as important as anything because it's the next game we got. It's the next opportunity we've got together. This week's practice has got to be really good. The guys have done a really good job of that, understanding that consistency. I think that when we're that way as a staff and we're that way as a culture, which is new to them, the consistency overall and every day, that consistency communicates commitment. And I think that's the thing that I'm trying to get the guys to understand and it communicates that commitment to each other. The consistency of going out each week and understanding that it's going to take the week of standards and expectations to push forward to try to get ourselves in position to equal that byproduct. So this is another opportunity. Friday or Saturday or Thursday, whenever the game is, that's not something that's really relevant. In fact, we got an opportunity this week to go play, and we've got to make sure we do everything. And different this year is you got to make sure you do everything off the field to protect each other too, and to be smart and stay masked up and stay social distanced and all the things that give you a chance to go play now.
Well, 8 penalties against San Jose State. What improvements have you seen from your squad this week, and what improvements would you want to see heading into Wyoming?
Well, unfortunately, we haven't had a chance to play. I think that the 8 penalties was something that we hit home a ton last week. We made sure that discipline and that understanding of things, particularly late personal fouls, are ones after the whistle, the ones that are hardest. You got to be sensitive there to effort, but you can't have that. We're, like I said last week, to overcome those type of things is really hard in the stage we're at. So to ensure those things don't happen more than anything, the peer review sessions we take, the discipline, the opportunities to see it for each other and how it impacts everything. I just think painting those pictures for our young group is important, because they get to see how did this penalty lead forward. And it's not just that penalty, it's the 3 plays afterwards. It's the kickoff afterwards. It goes all the way back to, we had one, versus Fresno State, where we had a penalty in the end zone and it came all the way back for a deep kickoff. The kickoff was then in their advantage and you lost field position. So those are continually things that we get a chance to educate and teach. And 2 weeks ago with penalty thing, those guys knew right away, because we'd been hidden so much, how that became such a detriment for us. So that's got to improve for sure. And we just got to improve in all those phases, all the phases we want. We got to we got to execute better. We got to communicate better. That's been a big piece of what we've done, is our verbal combat and understanding how we get alignment, assignment sound, and then how we got to keep finishing. So this is another big week for us to practice, with only a handful left. These guys understand how important each day is.
Can we expect for Max Gillum and Justin Rogers to continue to rotate in the Wyoming game?
Yeah, I think I said that after the game too. I think the opportunity for those guys to still create, a resume for us that says, hey, this is the most effective, most efficient way we're going to go about moving our offense. Until that presents itself, we're going to try to find any which way we can to be productive and to keep going.
Well, coming up next, the Runnin' Rebels season tips off this week. UNLV will be playing with no fans in attendance for the start of their season. We'll catch up with the team next to hear how prepared this new young squad is for their first game against Montana State on Wednesday night.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show.
Welcome back to the RebZone. You know what's great about Thanksgiving week? Yeah, the food and the family, but also the Runnin' Rebels, the Lady Rebels, and UNLV football all have home games this week. Hey, now that's a fun week for me and you Rebels fans at home. Well, you got a lot of games to watch this week. I hope you're ready. Let's take a look at the Runnin' Rebels' newly dropped schedule. They open up to Montana State at home this Wednesday night for a 6:30 tip-off inside a fanless Thomas and Mack. Then the guys pack up their bags for Asheville, North Carolina, where the Maui Invitational is being played this year. UNLV will face North Carolina on Monday, November 30th. Then conference play begins on the road December 20th against Wyoming. Now, what's different this year due to COVID-19 is that the Rebels will be facing their conference opponents twice in the same week to try and reduce the amount of travel this season. Here's what head coach TJ Otzelberger thinks about that new change to their schedule this season.
Look, I think this. I understand why the conference, they're trying to be as safe as possible. They're trying to limit costs and lower expenses of travel, and teams trying to be safe with that. So I understand why the league went to the schedule they did. I think, the positive is the cost and the safety. I think the challenge is it's really hard to beat somebody twice on the road. And I think what that does is there's a chance it could pull more teams into the middle of the pack in the conference standings. I would be someone that would be more inclined to say, we want to try to push for more teams in the NCAA tournament. I think that should be the goal of the league, and that would be the one thing. But again, it's unproven at this point. It's unprecedented, something that hasn't been done. So it's hard to say for sure how that will go. But that would be my initial thoughts on the schedule.
And just like the football team, the Runnin' Rebels will be tested 3 times a week during the season, as Coach Otzelberger and the players share with us what protocols they've been following to keep each other as safe as possible this year.
Yeah, it's obviously reinforcing the wearing a mask, social distancing, sanitizer, all those things. We've made a commitment to each other to not, go out in public to restaurants and gatherings and all those things. I'm not naive. I know our young people on our team are 18 to 22 years old. And sometimes that's an age range where the best decisions aren't always made. With that being said, I feel good about, our emphasis on it, what our guys have done. And so it's more trying to educate them when there's new information out there, when we learn things that could put them at risk, and trying to do everything we can to mitigate it.
All we do is pretty much, we're just here at Mendenhall, or we're just at our apartment. We can't do much. We got to be cautious of COVID. So, it's definitely feel like a bubble style. The online classes, it's a huge change. That's all we, get to meet people. Is very different.
And with all these new young faces on the Runnin' Rebels team this year, 7 of them freshmen, Coach Otzelberger shares with us what might be challenging for these young players to compete and stay focused during a season with so much adversity.
I think the first thing is that you have to really be mindful of what others are going through. You have to understand everybody handles these type of things differently, adversity. So I think we have to spend more time with the young people in our program to listen, to learn, because you take for granted sometimes how they may be feeling, what they're going through, some of the challenges they're experiencing. I think that's a big part of it. One thing we really try to do is spend a lot of hours with our guys off the court. Whether it's watching film, just talking to them, team building, doing those things. So it's really taught me that.
And coming up next, there's a new head coach in town, a new but familiar face here in Vegas. We catch up with Las Vegas native and new head coach of the Lady Rebels, Lindy LaRocque. The Durango High alum shares what it's been like getting ready for her first season with her new Lady Rebels in this wonderful year of 2020.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show.
Well, Las Vegas native Lindy LaRocque is getting ready to make her head coach debut with the Lady Rebels on Wednesday. The Durango High alum went on to play college basketball at Stanford, where she competed in 4 straight Final Fours at Stanford. Talk about a baller. She later joined the coaching staff at Stanford in 2017, and each season she was there, the program was consistently ranked among the top 10 in the country. Now it's her time to pay it forward and get to work with her new squad.
These last 6 weeks of really being able to kind of have full access to each other on the court. We're able to watch and film, obviously, doing everything safely and kind of in smaller groups. But, we were able to really kind of pick up a lot of steam from our personal connections and just building relationships. I think even for you all, this Zoom has been better than nothing. I don't think it's ideal for you or for me or even for our players, but, we just have to go with what we're handed. And then, once we can get back together, have real face-to-face, I think we can just pick up with where we started and improve all of our relationships and our connections. So that's what we've done with our team, and we love where we're at right now. We have great team chemistry. They really enjoy and love each other, which I think is the number one thing. And we're just embracing all of the different challenges that we're faced and attacking them together.
The Mountain West defending Defensive Player of the Year, Bailey Thomas, returns this season as she'll be playing on the same team with her little sister, Jade Thomas. The Lady Rebels share with us how excited they are to open up to Northern Arizona on Wednesday for a 1:30 tip.
Mentally, it was super up and down. There was a lot of points during the year where I didn't even know if I was going to play this year. And so it's kind of hard for that, a lot of anxiety, but everyone's been super positive. The team's been working hard. I'm excited to play with this team. I'm excited to play with my sister. I'm excited to play with a new coach. I think we're just making the most of this opportunity.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Bailey. There has been a lot of up and downs, but I think we're all just grateful that we even have a chance to be on the court and have a chance to practice together and play games in about a week. So just working hard to reach that point.
Well, the Lady Rebels were introduced to their new head coach virtually through Zoom when she got hired back in March. And for months, Coach LaRocque could only speak to her players over Zoom. She shares with us what her first goals were when she finally met them in person.
I think the first goal was probably just to establish a great connection and get to know each other as humans. Not me as a coach or them as a player, but especially with the times that we're given right now, we have to just really humanize everything, and everyone is experiencing all of these different things with a different perspective and in a different way. So I think that was the #1 goal, and it still remains. You know, it's treating these young women as women and people and not just players, to build a great love and relationship with each other. And then the basketball stuff will come, you know, but I think that's where our culture starts, with our connection. And we're doing a great job with it so far. You know, we're not satisfied, and we have a lot of room to grow and to continue to improve. But, you know, that was, I would say that was our first goal, and it probably still definitely is at the top of our list, although now we're focused on, you know, running offense and adding other things to it.
Well, I think Vegas is ready for Lindy LaRocque and what she's trying to change about the culture there with the Lady Rebels. Get excited, Rebels fans. Basketball season is back in Vegas. We'll wrap it up with Coach Arroyo after the break, as we have a little fun Thanksgiving segment planned with him, talking about turkey and football.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show.
So it's Thanksgiving week. It kind of feels more special this year to be with your family, giving thanks to be with each other. But you're probably feeling extra thankful this year for your mom's pumpkin pie or your grandma's stuffing or whatever it is. I know you're looking forward to that one dish on Thursday. So Coach, tell me what your favorite Thanksgiving food is, and if there's something your family or you guys have a tradition or anything special you guys make for Thanksgiving.
Favorite Thanksgiving food? There's these habanero sweet potatoes that are probably that are kind of my deal that I like each year. I can eat the turkey. I like the skin of the bird most, but I don't know why. It just is, always have. So probably eat the bird and some habanero sweet potatoes. I'm pretty simple. Nothing too crazy.
So I guess I also have to say what my favorite Thanksgiving dish is, and my family cooks tamales every Thanksgiving and Christmas. My mom and all her sisters get together in one little small kitchen and make tamales. Super, super messy and super hard to make, but so good, so delicious. And by January 1st on New Year's, I end up looking like a tamale, you know, for the rest of the year. So can't resist. If you have one, you have 10. There's no in between. But have a safe and fun Thanksgiving week, guys. Lots of sports to watch. We'll have a packed RebZone next Sunday because of all the games. Can't wait. We'll see you guys next week. Stay safe and have a nice Thanksgiving.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show.